Friends of Junior Achievement, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the 2018 Greater Butler and Warren County's Junior Achievement Business Hall of Fame induction ceremonies. Our Master of Ceremonies is a Junior Achievement Board member, a volunteer in the JA classroom, a Butler County Business Hall of Fame past laureate, and the president of Hamilton Castor and Manufacturing. It is indeed a privilege and pleasure to introduce the great Dave Lippert.
I'm feeling like a guy pinch hitting for the Reds with an 0.40 batting average, something like that. Good evening. Welcome to the 2018 Greater Butler and Warren County's Junior Achievement Business Hall of Fame induction ceremony. If you're here for the Kiwanis Chicken Dinner, you're in the wrong place. I don't know where that is. This thing started in 1989, and we are now doing the 24th induction this evening, so this has a track record. It's a pleasure, and I know it's an honor for all of us to be here tonight. We're going to pay tribute to people that have done extraordinary things in their business and community lives, and that's what this thing is all about. This JA in Butler and Warren County serves more than 7,400 students, so think about that. That's a lot of kids that this program impacts. And if you're familiar with JA, and I imagine everybody here is, you understand that part of what we're doing tonight, the proceeds are going to go to support this. This is a piece of it. There's lots of pieces. It's a big deal. Those of us that have been in JA for a while, we know this is really important for the students. This is something that they won't otherwise get or learn. We are going to have a special little treat before we actually start the presentation to the laureates. The current superintendent of Hamilton City Schools, Larry Knapp, is going to share a little bit of his perspective on JA. Larry, come on up, please.
Good evening. I didn't realize when I accepted this honor tonight that I would be following the great Dave Lippert. It's very fitting. You're stuck with that now, so we'll stay with that. I'm the new guy in town, and I understand that, but my experience has allowed me to have a long-running relationship with Junior Achievement. I was a building principal for 17 of my 39 years in administration, and to that end, I've always been very amazed with the dedication of the people that would come into my building when I was a principal to teach our kids the curriculum, the excellent curriculum that was available to them. And I was a middle school principal. Now, if you've ever been in a middle school, you have an understanding of how brave those people were to come and deal with 7th and 8th graders. That's a very special time in growing up, and they present a lot of special opportunities to their regular teachers, let alone somebody coming in once every 2 weeks or so to present a special curriculum to them. And you could always tell when it was a new person coming in because it was just like a new teacher. They were kind of wound up and a little bit nervous about going in front of their class, but we never lost one. They always came back, and that speaks to the quality of the curriculum and the amount of enthusiasm and the dedication that goes in to doing this type of a program. And from a building standpoint, from a district standpoint, we can't thank JA enough for all the things that you do in Butler County and in this region. So on behalf of all of us school folks, let me say thank you to all of you for all the things that you do with Junior Achievement. So thank you very much. And I'm going to close by congratulating all those folks that are being nominated tonight, especially to Dr. Stitzinger, the epitome of leadership in our district for over 30 years, and our appreciation to you as well. So I'm done.
Thanks, Larry. And he affirmed that the reality I didn't understand until just now, and that was there a reason why I was a high school JA business consultant, not a middle school. Good choice, didn't even know it. All right, before we get into this, I need to explain just a little bit what many of you already know, and that is how did these laureates get to be laureates? There's a selection committee. It's comprised of prior laureates. You saw there's 92 to work out that. All 92 actually don't all get together, as you might imagine, but quite a few get together, and we go through a bunch of nominees, and this is clearly a best of the best selection process. The view is a long period of time, so this isn't a one and done, quick in and out, but it's rather a long career that's recognized, that's highlighted with great civic work as well as entrepreneurial or business work, business success, as I said, community success. Obviously, the integrity and the ethics have to be in place too. So every one of these people is very special, as we already know. They've gone through a lot of scrutiny, really all through their lives, but certainly to get to this point as a laureate. And the criteria is that they lived or worked in Butler or Warren counties for most of their career. So we are going to start now. We're going to start with the first honoree, and I'm going to ask Matt Stitzinger and Elizabeth Husketh, who are the children of Glenn Stitzinger, to come up and introduce him. Guys?
Good evening. I'm Elizabeth, and this is my brother Matt. We are honored to be here tonight to celebrate our dad and all of the other junior achievement laureates. Thank you to our friends and our family for being here tonight. Your presence makes a noteworthy evening even more special. Our dad has many personal qualities that not only make him a wonderful father, but have also helped him succeed throughout his career. Loyal, honest, ethical, hardworking, and kind are just a few words that describe our dad. These qualities were taught to him by his parents, Glenn Sr. and Dorothy Stitzinger, and they are qualities we strive to emulate in our own lives.
Our dad is a lifelong Hamilton resident, and he is passionate about the city of Hamilton. Community service has always been important to our dad. He has served on countless boards throughout his working career, including 32 years on the Hamilton City School Board, in which he was elected to 8 four-year terms. In addition to all of his community service, Dad somehow managed to maintain a thriving dental practice for over 35 years. Most importantly, our dad has always supported Elizabeth and me throughout our lives. We are so proud to introduce to you our dad, Dr. Glenn Stitzinger.
I'm Glenn Stitzinger, retired dentist, Hamilton, Ohio. I went to Ohio State University. I decided I wanted to be a dentist. From there, spent 2 years in the armed forces and then opened a practice in Hamilton in November of 1968.
He's one of the finest dentists that Hamilton has, had. He's now retired.
He did wonderful dental work and wonderful dental care for patients. Our profession, it's constantly evolving. I mean, every year there's something new and something advancing.
He worked a lot of hours when I was younger to get the practice off the ground. You can't call in sick in that profession, and so I don't recall my dad ever calling in sick. A number of his employees worked for him for decades, so I think that said a lot for him that a lot of his employees were there for almost the entire time of his dental practice.
Well, I tried to treat everyone who came in the office in a very professional manner, to make sure that I did the very best I could for them. Sometimes you would have people that simply you knew couldn't afford what they needed, and you take care of those people.
You know, he built a tremendous rapport and relationship with those people over those 35 years, and he's very much missed.
I think he has his priorities straight. He's a great family man.
My dad's very selfless. He always puts other people before himself, and he always did that for my sister and I. My dad was always around.
Is an example of a person that knows what he wants to do and accomplishes it.
He always has served as a mentor to me because, I've watched him as a part of our community. I've seen what he's done with the practice of dentistry. He's a great dentist. But his level of service to the community, I think, is just amazing considering he had a full-time practice.
I think mentoring is very important to our society, and to have that happen to my dad when he opened his dental practice was invaluable to him. And when he had the opportunity to do that for other dentists, that he always mentioned to me that when other dentists were coming to town, he wanted to be as helpful as possible to them. He wanted them to be successful because a thriving dental community to him was a feather in Hamilton's cap.
I think the thing that strikes me most significantly about Glenn is that Glenn retired from dentistry. Glenn was just as active as ever in the community and making sure the new schools were built and to completion.
He really believes in our town and our community and our school system, and that was very important to him to serve for 8 terms.
He wants Hamilton and Hamilton City Schools to be the best that they can be. He made his mark that way. He's been involved in every possible board in town, hospital boards, Y boards, just all areas. And so I would say his drive to improve Hamilton.
Well, I think it's very important that you have quality schools. That makes a big difference in how people perceive of the city of Hamilton. Over the years, I think my focus had been to make sure that every child had an opportunity, no matter what their level of ability.
His people skills and the way he worked with people brought the school board around. They worked well with the unions from that point on, worked well with the teachers, brought in a great administrative staff, and most importantly, redid all the elementary schools in Hamilton. And those are things that are going to last for generations to come.
It's very, very important that the work ethic be instilled in children, young adults, and adults. And JA does that. JA also gives children a look at how the business world works. I think that's very important to understand that.
He's a good example of a person that takes care of his family, takes care of the community, and I think that's important.
He has served. His legacy and what he does will be remembered.
I really want to see Hamilton continue to grow, continue to have opportunities for young people. This is a very wonderful place to live. It's been a wonderful place for me to work. My message to anyone is to do what you can to support your community. The community that has done so much for me and so many others.
Glenn, I'm proud to be a friend. Proud to have worked with you all these years, all the way back through JC's. You led me there, helped me there. Through board involvement, you've been instrumental. And then you and Joelle have been a friend to our family over all these years. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Glenn, congratulations. It's an honor to speak on your behalf, and we're very proud of you. By the way, I want to tell you that Glenn happens to be my second cousin, in terms of full disclosure.
Dad, I'm very proud of you. I love you. You're my best friend. Congratulations on receiving this award. You deserve it. It's a big honor, and we're all very proud of you.
It's my honor to welcome Glenn Stitzinger, 2018 laureate. Glenn, come on up, please. You may want to say an hour or two worth of.
Well, thank you, and I want to thank the committee who selected me. Congratulations to the other laureates. JA is a wonderful organization. I was lucky enough to be a member of JA myself in high school, and that's been a few years ago. And it's thriving today. So, and I appreciate everyone being here to support junior achievement. It is absolutely a worthwhile organization that does an awful lot of good. I'd also like to thank Bob Weigel. He already took my line about being his cousin, but we've been friends for life, golfing partners until my back told me I couldn't do it any longer, who nominated me tonight. You know, as I looked at the video, and you know, I guess the first thing that came to mind for me was people who have helped me throughout my life. Without them, I wouldn't be here today. You know, I think of my parents and family. Family is very, very important to me, as you can tell. We had an extended family. It was great growing up in Hamilton with wonderful parents who really cared. They became great grandparents that helped raise Matt and Elizabeth with us. So people are very, very important. And friends that I had in high school and became patients of mine. I spent 10 years away from Hamilton, 8 at Ohio State, have many friends from those days. I came back to Hamilton after 2 years in the Army, the last year in Vietnam, and I was welcomed back to Hamilton by some local dentists. Carl Schmitter, Dave Hirsch, Paul Gaylord, and Bill Duvendek. And I remembered that, and they were kind to me both as professionally and socially. It was a wonderful opportunity for me. We became lifelong friends. And they helped me, and I think of my practice and all the patients that I saw, but the one thing throughout my entire practice were the people who are working with me. And for, you know, when your patients come in and they see the same faces all the time, it's comforting. And many of those same employees are now working with John Clements. And as my years were in practice were almost coming to an end, a good friend of ours, Moody Baker, got us together and we merged our practice. And, you know, before that happened, Joel said to me, Glenn, you've got to find the right person to take your practice, who has the same values that you have. And I was lucky to find John. And my patients stayed with John and with me for a year, and then, you know, he's continued on. I mean, he's a wonderful dentist. So again, people helping me. I think the same thing about any kind of public service where you volunteer for organizations, or you're, in my case, the school board. The people that help you, you know, those people are here tonight, many of them. Janet Baker, who was the superintendent for 23 of those 32 years. Bob Hancock was the treasurer for 25 years. And throughout that time that I was on the board, there was one member who served 28 years with me, and another, that was George Johnson, and then Larry Bowling. And Larry Bowling and I were really involved in the building of the new schools. When we started into this process, either I looked at Larry or Larry looked at me, I don't know which, but we said, we're going to be at every meeting, we're going to make sure that we hear all the voices in Hamilton, that we hear from the community, we hear from the teachers, we hear from the administrators. We're going to want to find out what they really want in these new buildings. And it was a long process in terms of getting the money to do it, getting the buildings up and opened. But it was a great time and kind of perfect for me because I had just retired when we really got into the heart of this. So again, people helping me. Family is very, very important to me. Many of my family are here tonight. You've already met 2 of them. You know, I owe everything to my parents and people who really cared for me. And there's one other person I want to thank tonight, my wife, Joelle. We married 49 years in August. It's been a fabulous 49 years. People that work in the school district probably do not want to hear this, but you know, when you have your ups and downs, and it's like you have your ups and downs in life. And the person I always turn to was Joelle to give another perspective. Let me, listen to me and tell me maybe what I should have been doing. But we've had a wonderful life together. We have 2 wonderful children. We have many friends who are here tonight, family. So I just want to thank everyone. It's been my honor, my pleasure to work with Hamilton, the part of Hamilton that meant the most to me all my years. And again, thanks to JA, to the committee who selected me. I'm quite humbled. And I want to thank everyone. Thank you.
All right, that was outstanding. We have another one now. Next honoree is our historical laureate. So we're going to ask Mark Rentschler to introduce the story about this great man. Mark?
Thanks, Dave. Good evening. John Woods. Most of you don't know his name, but he was a pioneer, a citizen, a statesman, a soldier, a congressman, an auditor of the state of Ohio who saved the state's finances, a director of the CH&D, the Cincinnati Hamilton Dayton Railroad, an attorney, a father, and a family man. Studying his legacy, we learned from one of his biographers, James McBride, he was indefatigable. Most of you don't understand that word. It means he never got tired. He persevered in everything he undertook. His energy was untiring, his firmness indomitable. He was a frequent contributor to all improvements in the city of Hamilton, and he discharged his duties as a lawyer with scrupulous fidelity and spotless integrity. Does anybody know what that means in the current political scenario? And yet his biographers have described him as an amiable and forgiving man. He was always on the moral side of any question. He walked through life in the path of honor. His family and his descendants have almost attained as much success and recognition in and around Hamilton as he did. He had 2 sons and 6 daughters. Some of them married the likes of Dr. Cyrus Falconer or William Beckett, which of course leads us to the likes of the Fittons, the Renchlers, the Millicans, the Becketts, and others. So let us all strive to live lives of integrity and service. Let us try to have a full and rich life, such as the Honorable John Woods.
I think John Woods was special just because of the breadth of experience that he gained in Hamilton. He had his fingers in a lot of different things.
Well, besides being an attorney, he was elected to Congress for 2 terms. He ultimately became auditor of the state of Ohio. He was also president of the Cincinnati, Hamilton, and Indianapolis Railway. And he was integral to many of the projects in Hamilton early in the 1830s, 40s, and 50s as the city grew and developed.
I think he had tremendous vision and also laid the foundation for a strong industrial future here in Hamilton. And what I mean by infrastructure, transportation, obviously roads, canals, railroads, power with the hydraulic system, and then of course communication. With the main means of communication at that time was newspapers, and he was publisher of one of the newspapers. So he certainly had a great understanding of what it would take to ensure the future of this state and this region.
And when you were an educated man, you kind of immediately rose to the top. I mean, he got his law degree and was here, and a year later, in 1819, and a year later he was the county prosecutor. Within 5 years or so, he was the state auditor. So he rose very quickly because he was a man of great skills and broad skills, and he was able to contribute to Hamilton's growth in a lot of different ways.
It's been said he was probably the most influential person of his era.
He was an entrepreneur here in Hamilton. He did so much outreaching to the railroads, the turnpikes, the waterways. John Woods was about anything that was good for the community.
By bringing in the money, they helped build courthouses, they built churches, they built railroads, they built canals, they did all these things that made Hamilton the great city that it's become.
In today's world, it's usually what's in it for me, and I don't think that thought ever occurred to John Woods, what's in it for me. It was what's in it for his country and his fellow man here in the state of Ohio and in this region.
He was just an all-around individual who did so much for the state of Ohio and the country, really, at that point in time.
I love the fact that he was a very humble man. He had rose to important positions at the cities, county, state, national level. John Woods, from what I can tell, he was still a hometown man and cared deeply about our community. He had many descendants, and these include members of the Beckett, Fitton, Guard, Heiser, Milliken, Nealon, and Rensselaer families.
I think it's significant that when he got here, the population of Hamilton was less than 600. And by the time he died, it was approaching 7,000. So that was a period of phenomenal growth. When John Woods arrived in Hamilton, Hamilton was still pretty much a pioneer village. By the time he died, it was an industrial powerhouse. One interesting anecdote about John Woods that really strikes me is that after he became the prosecutor and was involved in all these business activities, the state of Ohio tapped him to be the auditor. And he didn't really want to do it, but he took a 3-year term because they were in such great disarray that they needed somebody that could come in and set up a system of paperwork, because that's the kind of stuff he did for the courts here in Hamilton.
At the time, the state of Ohio had been running in debt, and from year to year borrowing money to pay interest on the state debt and thus compounding it until the public obligations loomed in a very fearful magnitude. John Woods essentially was able to help endeavor to reform taxation, convince members of the legislature to change some elements, and strongly corrected the affairs of state. And his courage, perseverance, essentially saved the state from repudiation, bankruptcy, and ruin.
The fact that he was able to do all these things and still be a well-regarded individual, I mean, I haven't read anything that cast any aspersions about his character. I think he was a man of real moral fiber and integrity, and that's why he was so much relied upon by the early citizens of Hamilton, because just of his strength of character, his personability, his ability to speak with all kinds of people. I think that's what made him special.
I think John Woods' life, his influence, his career stands out and is a model and a challenge for other generations. And I think it's important for people to realize how Hamilton came to be a city, and John Woods played a major role in that.
As Hamilton goes through this renaissance that we're going through right now, I think we could do worse than to uplift John Wood. as a model of industry and character and strength.
Historians have written that John Woods was for anything that moved Hamilton forward. He died at a relatively young age of 61, but he left an amazing legacy. It's really extraordinary.
His spirit, his determination, his tireless energy is what's causing Hamilton to move forward today. We had a marvelous industrial past, and we have a marvelous future still ahead.
It's my honor to welcome Vaden Woods Fitton, we all know and love him as Woody, to come forward and accept on behalf of his great, that's three, grandfather, the laureate of 2018, John Woods.
Good evening. On behalf of the Woods family descendants, it's my honor to be able to accept this award. We have quite a family tree, and some of the branches are here tonight. So if you'll indulge me a second, I would like to introduce those who are here, starting with my wife, Diane. Raise your hand when you're called, yeah. My sisters, Ann Woolsey and Kate Mancera. My godmother, Cordelia Milliken, and her son, Neil. We've got Scott and Ann Tyree, who are from the Beckett branch of the family. You've met Mark Rentschler, his wife, Cindy. Tom Rentschler and his wife, Julie. Dave Ballou, you saw him on the video. Kathleen Fox, who you saw in the video, and Carolyn Coley, who's a friend of the family. So we're happy to, we're very gratified, I should say, to receive this honor on behalf of our great ancestor. I think this was educational. When you've been gone over 160 years, very few people remember your feats, and unless there's some historians that are very diligent. But we see the legacy that he left, and not only that, he spawned generations of individuals that felt the same calling to be moving the needle forward for our community. One of the things that was missed in factoid that was not represented in the video tonight, you know, I was introduced as Woody. I've been asked many times how that nickname came about. Legend has it that John Woods was known by many of his close friends and family members as Woody. And I am very honored to continue to carry that legacy into the future, but they didn't get the joke, I guess, right? Who would know if he would have been known as that? I don't know. But at any rate, again, we're very grateful and appreciative to the committee and Junior Achievement for remembering this wonderful man and the great legacy that he has left our community. Thank you very much.
Our third honoree of the evening, to introduce him, Jim Avery. Jim?
Well, I only have a few words to say. Larry, thank you for following your dream 55 years ago and for allowing us to be a part of it. Congratulations, my friend.
I am actually officially Lawrence Schumacher, but everyone calls me Larry, founder and president of Schumacher Dugan Construction Company, which is located in Westchester. I've been involved in Westchester there in the development and general contracting business for since the middle 80s. I've been in business totally for about 55 years. In 1984 and 85, and this was our first building, which is the building where our office is still in. And there was nothing else here. There was a couple truck terminals, and other than that, it was soybean fields and cows and etc. So we were breaking new ground
undoubtedly. My friends asked me if I knew what I was doing or did I lose my senses to come out into such an area that's has no comforts. There's no restaurants, no hotels at this point, nothing to speak of. So, but it's really worked out well.
In the time that I've known him, he's probably added, I don't know, maybe another 1 million feet of development. I call the Union Center Boulevard exit Larryville.
I challenge people to go 200 miles north on I-75 or 200 miles south and find an interchange that is as effective economic generator for the community as we have at Union Center. It wouldn't have happened without Larry Schumacher. It just wouldn't.
He basically took the risk, said, okay, I'll stick my neck out and I'll fund this intersection, these roads going through this property, and I'll hold off on perhaps a quick flip and hold out for stuff that's going to be here forever.
He's been very successful. Schumacher Dugan is just an undisputed, very successful company with many divisions, land development, paving company, many pieces, and it all works really well. He values friendship over a quick dollar. So I see a loyalty factor from him that I have not witnessed in many folks.
If you treat everybody like you want to be treated yourself, you can't hardly miss.
I don't think anybody in Cincinnati knows that he's a world champion road racer.
You hit 200 miles an hour, but the engine won't hardly cut through the air anymore, so that's sort of your limit. Sound of the engine is stable. And it gives you a different sort of thought about how fast you're going. I mean, you are really moving when the car won't go any faster. Here I was married and had 4 children, and I saw an ad in the newspaper for a wrecked Formula V race car. And I thought, boy, that'd be neat. I'll just buy that and fix it up just as a kind of a hobby. And the next thing you know, I took it out to a couple minor races in SCCA, and I did fairly well, considering I had almost no experience. And it just grew from there.
It's extraordinary. You're competing against Ferrari, against Porsche, against BMW, against everyone there is with unlimited factory money. And here's Larry Schumacher from Westchester, Ohio, funding this out of his own pocket with his buddies as his pit crew and beating everybody.
We all had our eye on the win, to try to win, and we just got better and better and better.
He's a guy that, stares into the eyes of death and says, let's go.
Be progressive, be honest, and so on, and hire the smartest people that you can find. And I think I've done that.
He would be the one person I would recommend somebody to look up to, because he made something out of practically nothing.
And in my world, when I look at Larry, he's a grand achiever. I think there could be no person better to exemplify achievement.
He is probably the last person in the world that wants to be recognized. I think he feels embarrassed a little bit, but he shouldn't be. He's given a lot of opportunity to a lot of people.
I've said a lot of things to Larry and tried to express my appreciation to him for all the years and for the loyalty that he's had for me and for my family. And it's been a great ride, and we ain't done yet. So keep it up, boss.
You're my dear friend, and I couldn't love you more.
And I would say to Larry, I guess I'm saying it to him now, I'm glad you're my friend, and I want to be just like you when I grow up.
It's my honor to welcome Larry Schumacher, 2018 laureate. Larry?
I got reinforcement here. Well, good evening, everyone, and thanks for attending. I would like to acknowledge that and thank Junior Achievement for all that they do for our younger generation and providing them with the tools and knowledge to achieve their life's goals. My thanks go to Neil Cohen and Carol Lyso and Dave Bray for all their time and effort that they put in to this organization for tonight's event. I offer my congratulations to fellow honorees, Sonny Loader, Dr. Glenn Singlinger, and the family of John Woods. That's quite a family, by the way. It is an honor to be included in such a distinguished group of current and past honorees. Thank you to my wife, Mary, and 4 children for taking this and sharing this journey with me, as well as all of our great employees that I am so proud of, particularly Jennifer in this particular case. Since she wrote this and arranged a good deal of it. So she's my hero for sure. My accomplishments come with a great deal of joy, and I love what I do each and every day. So, as I always say, only in America. Thank you very much.
They've clearly won the award for the best headgear of the evening. Didn't know that was a competition, but they got it. Our final laureate will be welcomed or introduced by grandchildren, Evan and Sunshine. If you guys would come forward.
Coming to the stage is my grandpa, Sonny Loader. He used to be a tic-tac-toe champion, but then my brother Evan and I started beating him a bunch. He's an amazing grandpa who is loving and sweet, but he sure pesters me a lot. Welcome to the stage, B-Paw.
I'm Sonny Loader. Right now, I work for Matt Loader. It's not a great paying job either. Been in business 52 years, in the boat business. Started out in the flower and garden center business, which my family was in. They came to Hamilton in 1866, so they're pretty well known in this town. You know, I grew up water skiing. I water skied at Coney Island every Sunday for 5 years, and that's actually how I got the boat business. I was a landscaper at the time I was water skiing, and as a landscaper, I had a shop where we sold lawnmowers and we did service. And the guy that did my mechanical work was our boat driver at Coney Island when we had the ski shows. So people start knowing me and they start bringing their outboard motors to my lawnmower shop. And my lawnmower mechanic, because back then they were pretty simple, you could fix them. But anyway, that kept growing and growing to the point where something had to go, and my lawnmowers went, and I stayed in the boat business. Been very, very fortunate, very lucky. And for a guy that's not been educated, the only thing that I survived with was I learned how to work hard. I was raised on a farm. You know, if you're not smart, you gotta use your back, and I use my back mostly.
He got his name early on when he was a very young boy. My grandmother said, "You have a very sunny disposition," and so they started calling him Sonny, and that just always stuck with him. I mean, it was almost like it was born into him, you know? So my dad's real name is not Sonny. His real name is Even at 82 years old, he comes into work each day with a smile on his face, singing and happy to be there, and just has an infectious attitude that people really grasp hold of.
Well, the boat business is not an easy business to begin with. We have so many ups and downs. They're so seasonal. I've gone through 4 of them, and a couple of them almost got me. I was hanging on by my fingernails, but we did survive and went on.
He's very well known, and I think sometimes he's such a local guy that people don't realize outside of Butler County or Cincinnati, he's an icon in the boat industry, and he's been doing it a long time, and he's earned the respect of a lot of people over the years.
He does consult with other boat owners. He helps them be more successful.
It was called a 20 group, and the 20 group is 19 other dealers plus myself, and we met 3 times a year, and you could see what other people were doing that was very successful to them and that I was not doing. And I'd been in that thing for 30-some years, and one time I thought, boy, I've just about learned everything they have to give me, and I came home after that meeting with my legal pad full of notes, and I said, you never quit learning. Business keeps changing, and you got to keep staying with it. If you're going to progress, you got to stay in there.
Never been a better buy than now to buy a boat. Come in and see me. We have a boat for you.
I think he realizes he's here for a larger purpose than we sometimes think so.
My old store, once we didn't need it because we moved into the big building, these girls came to me and they said, Sonny, we would like to rent your building. I said, what are you going to do with it? And they said, we have a group of handicapped 18 and under, and we need a place for them so we can take care of them. I was interested in that. Within 7 or 8 months, they said, Sonny, we need more room. We're maxed out. We can only get 50 people in here. I said, all right, if you can use your imagination again, come on, we got a storage place up there we store boats in that actually belongs to Matt. And we'll do the same thing, come on up. So now we have two spots, we have like 145 people there. And these people really enjoy coming there. You go up and talk to them, they're smiling at you, shaking your hand and saying hi to you. If you're being successful in life, somebody got you there, you didn't do it on your own, and you need to give back to the community.
Sonny realizes that, when you're blessed with something, the real blessing is when you're able to give back to others.
I remember the first time he took me over to Sonny's place. I was blown away by the whole thing. I think the thing I admire most about him is his compassion.
We walked through it and I was in awe. Something he never ever spoke about. It was fully functional and totally built out, modern.
He's able to take situations that just seem like everybody else is thinking what's going to happen next. And Sonny has always had this ability to figure out how to take that and turn it into something good for his business, his family, whatever. He's a born negotiator. He just knows how to turn things around.
He's not changing colors, changing face. I think he's the same from the moment he wakes up in the morning until he goes to bed at night. So I think that's a sign of somebody that's truly got character and integrity.
He's been somebody that through our fun times and our good times and even some of the rough times that I've always respected and I've always thought very, very highly of. And like I said, I just love him as a brother.
You've made a remarkable impact on many, many people in your own very personal and quiet way. I want to tell you I love you and congratulations.
Sonny, I think you're a remarkable
individual. You have a great, wonderful faith that runs deep. I admire you, as do so many others in this community.
Dad, obviously you've earned everything that you've achieved in life. You make me very proud to be your son, and hopefully I've learned the lessons that you've taught me well, and can fill your shoes at least halfway, because they're big shoes to fill up. And congratulations on your award. You deserve everything.
Let's welcome 2018 laureate Sonny Loader. Sonny?
Great job. Proud of you. Sunshine. My goodness, we're going to hire you to speak for the company, are we? You surprised me. Well, good evening, and I'm telling you what, I'm almost in tears over what I just saw, because I didn't know any of that was coming up. And I want to begin with thanking everybody, the Junior Achievement and Carol, and I'm trying to think of everybody else. All of a sudden, I'm kind of nervous here. But anyway, the biggest things is Matt and Megan. They contributed this a lot. And the two kids that are here tonight from Rest Care, that take care of these kids in this home. You ought to see the job they do. I go in there a lot, and these kids in this home are always having fun, and they're not afraid of being there. We've had people from way out of the country to come look at this facility. And Sunshine, and where are you? No, I'm not talking about these two kids. I'm talking about the ones that run Sunny Spot. Well, those guys would be applauded, because they have 140 people, and I don't want to call them patients because I don't look at them that way, but they're people that are tickled to have something to do, and they're always smiling, always laughing in that place, and their parents can go out and do something in life. They don't have to stay home, and I'm just so happy that I could help out with that whole facility. And Matt, you did too. Oh, well, I got to keep this. I'm going to start crying. Boy. Well, thanks, kids, and I got to thank all the employees from Loaders Marine, because without them, this wouldn't have been possible either. The 52 years I've been in business, we've gone through a lot of employees, but you know, some of those people are still there. Evelyn is here tonight. She was there for 30 years, and there's some other people here that have been 30 or 40 years, and we certainly couldn't have accomplished any of that without them. I always loved the boat business, and like I said, the water skiing took its toll on me. It really did. But hard work with me, and I was told tonight to talk about what I've learned over my 52 years. And he said, you got 4 minutes. How do you do that? But hard work started with me at 6 years old from planting gladiolas, because my great-great-grandfather moved here from Germany, and he moved down on Beckett Street in Hamilton in 1866. We were the oldest business in Butler County up until about 4 or 5 years ago. I think the lower Midlake and Fitton might have been right in there with us, but anyway, I think we got them. And so anyhow, I planted gladiolas when I was 6 years old. My dad paid me 25 cents an hour. And that's how I started learning how to work, and I had to learn how to work hard. From after that, we went out to out the Ross Centerville Road. We moved into the farm when I was 10 years old, and my brother and I, and we farmed. We had like 50 head of beef cattle, and 200 head of hogs. My brother got drafted in Korea, and I had to survive. I had to pay for all the equipment that we did. And anyway, I learned how to work, and I think working is what makes you get through everything. You're going to have to learn how to work hard if you're going to be in business, and that certainly was the case here. I remember one time when I first started in the lawnmower business, Dick Fitton loaned me $10,000 on my signature, which you never hear of today. And a few years later, 6 or 7, 8 years later, Mr. Fitton, it wasn't Dick, it was Dick's dad, if anybody remembers him, that's been a long time ago, loaned me a bunch of money to build the shopping center, which I have out in Millville. And he told me, he said, son, you're borrowing a lot of money. and he scared the heck out of me because I'd never seen that much money. But it made me get real serious about the boat business and make sure I was going, because in 1971, we had a fantastic year. Man, we were selling boats, we were selling lawnmowers, we were selling fertilizer, we were doing all kinds of stuff. And at the end of the year, my accountant, Bill Millers, at that time, who was not around any longer, said, what kind of year did you have, Sonny? And I said, Bill, we killed them. I did $500,000 in business. This is 1971, so $500,000 was a lot of money. And he said, well, let me get your numbers together and see what you did. About 30 days later, he came back and said, yeah, you know what you did? I said, what? He said, you lost $16,000. So that taught me I better get smarter instead of working harder. So I said, well, Bill, I need a departmentalized P&L. Where do I put the Band-Aid? He said, hell, I don't know. I don't have a computer. You know, we're a good company, but we're not that large. So I went down ADP in Cincinnati, and they put together a departmentalized P&L for me so I could realize where I was making it and where I wasn't. So it was a huge help, and it was much more fun working smarter than it is harder, I'll tell you. So anyhow, next thing I did, I joined a 20 group, which is 19 other boat dealers besides myself. And we shared financials every month, and we met about 3 times a year and talked to each other about what's going for you and what's working for you. And then, buddy, if you were at the bottom of the heap, they gave you hell. I mean, they didn't have any mercy on you. They said, what the hell's the matter with you? Why are you way down there? And 2 of those people that have been in that group as long as I have, which we've been in, how long, Matt? 40 years. 40 years we belong to this group. We have Pat and Stevens, they came down, Pat and Sandy Stevens came down from Michigan to join us tonight, which I've appreciated their friendship for all these years, and thanks, guys, for coming down. So if it wasn't for these dealers and all the stuff, I think on 2 different occasions I was going to do something which was way off. And they said, Sonny, here's the way I look at this. And they were right, and I didn't do it. So it's good to have friends like that. You can share financial information and succeed a little quicker. Pastor John tonight said he thanked me for whatever reason. I thank him every Sunday. Well, thank you, Pastor John. And I want to thank everybody else who supported me for the 52 years of successful we've had here. It's been fun. I didn't realize I looked as old as I did until I saw those films. And they told me you got 4 minutes and your 4 minutes is up, but thanks so much.
Wow, congratulations to all of the honorees tonight. JA is proud to honor all 4 of these. As you could tell by listening to all 4 of the stories, they've all had a huge part in making our counties, Butler and Warren County, the whole area, a great community in which we can live and work. We've honored business leaders, past and present, that have been leaders not just of their businesses, of the communities in which they lived. And the takeaway is that we're all modeling lives for kids. We've met a few of them tonight. That's who we need to impact, and that's what it's all about. We need to recognize some sponsors that have contributed to help us this evening. I think there we go. So we've got our presenting sponsor, Schumacher Dugan. Production sponsor, I love this name, Barking Squirrel Media. We want to thank them for their work on all the vignettes you saw here. The wine sponsor, Loder's Marine. You've enjoyed wine at your tables. We've had other sponsors that have been a part, so thank all of these. They've all been generous and helped to make this thing a success. We're wrapping up. I got just 2 comments as we leave. First of all, do not drive like Larry Schumacher. And I think on the way out, you can buy a boat. I think I saw that. Have a great night. Thanks all.